And oh, by the way, quick question: you ever take a shit and pop wood and just grab that shit like you're a fighter pilot flying an F-16? Because if not, man, what are you doing with life?
I can't say that I have.
Ah,
Honestly,
Jesus.
I
This
think
is,
you're in. I think you're alone with that one.
you know what? Whatever. When it happens, you got to put on danger zone. That's the only way. And then when you're done, and you've wiped, you got to go watch Top Gun. That's how it makes it not gay. So those listening, there you go. You've entered the
What
danger
about this
zone.
is? What about this is inherently homoerotic? I don't understand.
Hey, it's not my fault when I take a shit. I think of rainbows and unicorns. Okay, not my fault.
That's not. That's not inherently gay, though.
Hey, tomato, tomato.
Yeah, sure.
I will
I
say
guess.
this. I will say this. Jokes aside. Jokes aside. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen this trend on YouTube and TikTok where you got DMs that'll do like, oh, red flag players or red flag DMs.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they'll share either personal stories or stories that they've read on the internet. And it's very interesting to see how they're all kind of in unison with the same shit, like
How do you mean?
well, like for instance, a red flag for a DM is racism. And I've wrecked my head on this thing for, I want to say, last few days. Um, about how racism is a red flag. Now, just having racism for the sake of racism in D&D, yeah, I could see where that's, that's a red flag, where it's just like, okay, you're just being a prick just to be a
Mm-hmm.
but
Were you
racism,
using like if you're just using fantasy racism to inject your real actual racism?
yeah. But if you're using, fantasy racism as a world building tool, okay,
Mm-hmm.
how is that a red flag? Because you've got a mixture of races. Now, granted, D&D and homebrew, there's up to 1,000 different races and different
Right. Well, I mean,
variations.
I get that there are some players, the DMs, that just don't feel comfortable having that because playing tabletop games are supposed to be an escape from reality. Where
Yes.
unfortunately, in reality, racism is a thing that very much still exists in pretty much all of the world in some way, shape, or form. So I get that there are some groups that don't want to include it. I don't think it's a fitting theme for all games. I think if you're
No.
playing like a lighthearted campaign, or if you had a talk with your group or your DM that's like, hey, I want this to be like kind of lighthearted slice of life. I don't really want to inject any real world like equivalents into it with like issues and stuff like that. So I get that.
And
Um,
I do
you
too.
know, I don't ever want to yuck someone's yum, and there are definitely things that I don't feel 100% comfortable with having in certain campaigns or any campaign. Like,
100%. Like rape and sexual assault, that's got no place.
yeah.
Like,
I
and
mean, we do
that's,
dirty jokes, of course, but like that's a
yeah.
completely different thing.
Well, like
Like,
in the Discord where all this takes place, I've got rules played out. Played out. I have rules written out. Now, one of those rules are, don't touch another player character, without getting with them and talking with them. And both of you coming to me and saying, hey, we kind of want to get this going, and me making sure everybody's cool with it. Not, oh, hey, I talked to this person, they're cool. No, none of that shit. Because, there are those players that fucking weird. That want to be
mm-hmm.
fucking weird with it. Like, if you want to role play some sexual shit, by all means, role play that shit with yourself. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the DM, so you're basically talking dirty to me. But yeah, rape, sexual assault, anything with any underage person, that shit's
Absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely unacceptable.
got no place. got no place at all. Fantasy
Yeah.
racism, though, that one where, like, for instance,
If it
dark
serves a
elves.
purpose, yeah, if it serves a purpose or it drives plot points, that's fine. I just, like, me personally, I think I would have a problem with it if it was extremely heavy-handed to the point where it's like, okay, well, you're very clearly just injecting actual racism into it.
Yeah, yeah, no, like for instance, dark elves. Dark elves are, you know, for what the core books were, they're treated very, very poorly. You know, they're looked at as evil. They're looked at as, you know, demonic and origin. Same with like the tieflings. Now, you could take that and you can project that. I mean, it is a form of racism. You could project that to your characters through, you know, an NPC. Oh, you're gonna go there. Oh, well, I've heard this, and you can inject that to the characters. And now the characters are gonna eventually meet these people, and they're gonna have some built-in, you know, I guess you could say trepidation with towards the you know, towards this race of people. And they see that these race of people don't take too kindly to outsiders, not because, you know, they hate them, but because outsiders have always caused problems. Now there's that animosity there. One person hates the other person because they're different, and you slowly peel that onion back, revealing more and more complexities, more and more layers to it. And then the
Layers.
yeah, exactly. And then eventually the players will see, holy shit, these people aren't, you know, evil. These people aren't any different than me and, you know, my comrades. They're just as unique and as different as I am. But having racism for the sake of racism because you just want to drive some point home, I mean, yeah, I could see where that's a red flag. But I mean, some of the, like, the racism, classism was one of them, where it's just like, oh well, you know, as a DM, you know, there's elite figures, and then there's, you know, the poor people, and then of course, you know, the elite shit on the poor, and the poor hate the elite, and it's just like, that's a red flag, and it's like, how is that a red flag? Like, that's
Yeah,
you
I mean,
need to
as
have
someone
something. You need to have something there.
yeah, I mean, as someone who's like a lower class redneck kind of country bumpkin living in, you know, smack dab in the middle of like Silicon Valley, basically, or just outside Silicon Valley, I think I give classism in my games like way more of a pass because it's something a lot more relatable to me. I can't relate to racism because I'm not racist, you know.
Yeah, I'm hella racist, I'll be honest. Those fucking white people, I swear to God. Milk toast fucking, or milk toast fucking milk of magnesia looking motherfuckers, I swear. Walking around. Oh, hey there,
Milk
Mr.
wild, brother.
Oh, what you gonna do?
Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the Masturbator Cast.
That won't make it into the cut, don't worry. But the red flag shit, though, I do want to touch upon that.
Yeah.
Because you've been both the DM and a player, and I've been more of a DM than a player. But what are some of your red flags as, you know, for a DM and a player? Top 3 for each.
Top 3. I mean, I know one right off the bat, and I definitely have a story about it. When I DM'd a home game, probably close to 10 years ago at this point, I cannot stand it when a player tries to control another player or use another for the purpose of making their character look cooler if they don't clear it with the character with the player first. Because I had a friend in a home game that I was running who wanted to come in last minute. I was like, well, you know, last minute's difficult, but I can work with it. What's your backstory? First of all, his backstory was like 2 sentences. It gave me nothing, and basically he wanted to be like an archdemon, and I had to fight with him for that because I was like, no, you can't can't have like +5 on all your ability scores straight out the gate just because you're a demon or seaman or whatever you want to be. You have to be balanced with everybody else, and you have to level up with everybody else. So you're going to start at level 1, same as them, and you're not going to have all these extra abilities. I basically made him like, I was able to convince him to compromise. At least in his eyes, it was compromise. I would call it playing by the game rules. I had him do custom heritage, basically like a modified version of a tiefling. So as he leveled up and got to the higher levels, he would have a lot higher spells, but it would be later on, and there would be sacrifices that he would have to make throughout that would go with the narrative of where I thought his story wanted to go based off the information that he gave me. But then as soon as I had him introduce his character, he just started basically saying, oh, so this character sees or does this, like sees my character do this or does this because my character has control. And then I just stopped right away and I was like, no, you don't get to do that. You didn't clear it with this player beforehand. You didn't clear it with me beforehand. You don't get to control other players to make your character look cool. You're all level 1 adventurers. You know, if you can be from the hells, fine, but you know, you're starting off level 1 the same as everybody else. You don't have like the ability to like have dominion over someone else just because you think it's cool or whatever. And
that's just
so he stayed in my game for all of about 30 minutes before he stormed out, saying that I was limiting his potential as a player. And while I guess in his eyes that was the case, like it was very clear that I was making all the other players at the table uncomfortable, and he was hogging all the table time and not giving anyone else a chance to speak because like everything he did, he wanted to be this like super grandiose, like super charismatic character, but he didn't have any perception of how charisma actually works because, you know, just to say it, he was not a charismatic guy in real life, which is fine because, you know, we're playing make-believe games about wizards and dragons and shit, but if you're going to play a charismatic character, you should have like a concrete idea of how this character uses their charisma. Are they manipulative? Do they schmooze people? You know, are they very approachable or are they very intimidating? And he to be all those things at once. So that's number one when people try to control other players' characters.
Yeah, no, that's a damn good red flag because if you have players that are sitting at the table and they're just kind of sitting there either looking uncomfortable or looking bored, there's a problem. I mean, like getting to the charismatic point. If you got somebody who is charismatic playing a charismatic character, everyone at that table, including the DM, should be entertained. Now, part of that issue with the character you just described is when you start out in a D&D campaign, you can't be all powerful. It's impossible to be all powerful at level 1 because it just doesn't make any sense, because why are you starting off as a level 1 adventurer at that point?
Right.
I mean, if you're this all-powerful archdemon, you know, how and why are you controlling this, you know, this person? Excluding the fact that it's a player character, how and why are you controlling this person? Oh, well, I'm so powerful. Okay, then why the fuck are you a level 1 adventurer?
Right.
Like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, why aren't you just ruling the hells at this point? Like, I had it explained to me that you can have ambitions. As a character, you can have ambitions. Now, is your level 1 character going to have ambitions of world domination? Possibly. 100% possibly. However, they're not going to have the power to achieve that goal at level 1. They can strive towards it. But having that power, no, that's just some edgelord trying to be cool and ooh, look how cool my character is. Yeah, but continue.
Right. I mean, yeah. How I basically broke it down for him is like, well, you can be like like a disgraced demon who like betrayed your master, and so he took all of your power. So you had to escape the hells, and now you're stuck on the material plane until you can amass enough power to safely go back into the hells, basically without being immediately struck down by any higher archdemons or demon lords. Because he was like a former servant of Asmodeus. It was based off of the Judeo-Christian chart or whatever you want to call it of demonology. Because in D&D lore, I think Asmodeus or Asmodeus, however you want to say it, is like just a dark lord of death or something like that. But in the Judeo-Christian Bible, Asmodeus is the basically like the embodiment or physical manifestation of the deadly sin of lust. So he was supposed to be like kind of like this incubus archdemon. And then he just immediately threw all that aside and just like minute by minute basically changed what and who he was and why he was there and what his powers were. It was inevitable it wouldn't last very long, but I didn't expect to have to kick him out 30 minutes into his first session with us.
Oh, because you're a fucking asshole. That's just a damper on his creativity.
Well, it's like
if you look into the history of D&D, not one single person who's ever made a player character of a demon has ever thought of doing what this person did. You're an asshole and a piece of shit. Oh God. No, but that would have been a cool story though. A demon or an arch whatever losing their powers and then basically using the party as a means to an end. And then at the end of it all, when they finally eventually get to, Asmodeus, and this person ultimately turns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've killed Asmodeus, we've won. He's like, yes, and now I get to sit upon my throne. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. That would have been the ultimate betrayal. That would have been good, but sounds like kid just wanted to be, I'm super powerful. I can control your character.
Exactly. That was exactly it. Let's see. Another red flag of mine is players who fudge dice rolls.
Yeah.
Like if because it happened to at the game store that I used to work at, the tabletop game store that I used to work at, because they had an area where people would play games, they would play D&D or Warhammer or Pathfinder or a bunch of games. It would be card games, but it would also be tabletop RPGs. And there was this one kid that came in every week who had to repeatedly be threatened with getting banned from the store, and eventually he was banned because he would fudge all his dice rolls. Like, he would roll the dice and he would make sure that he would see the number first, and if it wasn't high enough, he'd pick it up again and say, oh, I think that dice was cocked, let me roll it again. It's like, no, man, there's no fun in it if you always have good rolls. Like, if it happens organically, that's one thing, and it can be super hype, because that's happened a few times in our sessions. I think there was one session where I rolled like 4 nat 20s or something.
It was like 3 or 4, yeah.
That's fun because it's like unpredictable, amazing luck, and you don't expect it. But if you're just fudging your dice rolls so that you get good rolls every time, where's the fun in that? If you want to be the main character, like, if you want to be the most important person at that table, just write a book with like a character, because D&D is supposed to be a collaborative effort where everyone gets the chance to do something cool. It's not all about you. It's not all about the DM. It's not all about one certain person. It's about everyone collaborating together to tell a story that is entertaining and realistic within the bounds of the world. Realistically, not every level 1 adventurer is going to, be able to do an ultimate attack with every swing of their blade and kill everything in their path. That's just not going to happen.
No, and I'm going to be honest, seeing you guys succeed is fun. It really is. It's fun to see the way you guys come up with how you're going to succeed. But seeing you guys fail that is enjoyable because you can really see where it's just like now the gears are working. Okay, I failed. I fucked up. How do I recover from this?
Yeah, like that last
You
session
know,
of Fallout that we recorded when Bush went down. I was like white knuckling my desk the whole time. It was a super high stakes situation, you know.
well, yeah. And I mean, as I forget who it was, I think it was Kieran. You know, I was listening intently to everything he was saying because it's just like this person has a gun to your friend's head. This isn't like in the movies where, if I tell you I'm going to shoot, you're going to, get a 60-second monologue where you're getting closer to, I'm going to pull the fucking trigger.
Right.
And he was just like, don't get any, I said, don't get any closer. I swear to God, I thought he said, I walk closer. Like, really? Like, you want to see if this guy's bluffing? Okay.
But to be fair, in his defense, as far as I can tell by playing with him at this point, Kieran is the type of character to push his luck and other people's luck like that.
Yes. And it works.
Yeah,
it works
so
because
I wasn't
Kieran,
really too mad about it.
Well, no. And that's why I didn't be like, dude, really? But even so, it was one of those things where, he's dipping his toes, the player is dipping his toes, kind of seeing, all right, how deadly is this world?
Right.
Okay, Ravi got blown up. It was one of those things where it was kind of funny how everything went down. However,
what struck me about that is that all that happened, like the dugout in getting blown up, Ravi getting, shrapnel in his head or whatever, that all happened before you had even finished, like, basically the first page of the module.
he he wanted his character to get, and that's the funny thing is he overestimated the importance of the woman that you guys kind of, rescued from the crowd. He overestimated her importance. He overestimated his own importance. And because he was getting treated like shit, he felt that, he deserved to be treated better. And it's just like, okay, I can work with this. When he put the bomb in there, I fucking didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I can roll with that. And granted, he makes bombs, he made bombs, whatever, pipe bomb. Ravi, however, going in there, didn't expect, but I was like, all right, this is a key moment here. His rolls weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's going to tag it. He's going to move it. He's going to toss it. All right, cool. Now it's going to blow up. Now we're going to see, because, let's be honest, Ravi could have died.
Yeah.
And that would have been Aurelius's brother's first introduction to tabletop gaming, where, okay, your character's dead now. So now you get to sit out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to cause some animosity. So, all right, thank God he survived.
And then Run just picks up Kieran and Beyblades him into a wall.
Oh yeah. Now, with that being said, let's be honest. You guys don't know each other. You guys already immediately right off the bat formed a party. It organically happened, but it's still a bit quick. But you guys started having that tension, that animosity, where different personalities are going to clash. And it worked out perfectly. But Kieran likes to test those boundaries. Kieran is, and I'm not talking the player, I'm talking the character.
Yeah.
Because the player definitely likes to see just how far he could go before he's told no. He definitely likes to do that, which is fine by me.
There's nothing inherently bad about that. That can be a lot of fun to have one of those personalities at the table.
Man, I got 3 of them. And I tell you, you know, this kind of falls into the red flag thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that take it too serious, and when I say too serious, where that interaction that all you guys had, you know, the Ravi getting blown up, you know, you flying off the handle and attacking Kieran, Bushhider flying off the handle and attacking Kieran. Not once did any of you guys, as the player, take that shit to heart.
Right.
Not once. Not once did Kieran, the player, Aurelius, go, why are you fucking with me? Stop fucking with me. How come they're fucking with? Nothing like that. You guys are able to separate that shit out.
Right. Well, he has enough situational intelligence to know, yeah, I'm playing a character that's, you know, kind of fucking everything up. These people are a lot more reasonable than Kieran. It's very obvious that some shit is going to go down.
Yeah, and one of my red flags for players is when they take shit too serious. Like, it's a game. And that also falls into the fudging your rolls.
Like me when Ohio was brought up.
Oh God, that shit. I swear to God. I thought I was doing the best thing as the DM to, you know, calm a situation down that I thought was possibly gonna happen.
I am never gonna live that down, am I?
Well, it's not meant for you, it's meant for me. Because I was trying to get ahead of that train and there was no train.
I thought I was making it clear that I was overreacting, like, as a joke. I guess I overreacted too much.
Well, and I took it as, oh shit, some shit's going down. You know, let me do what I have to do to kind of get ahead of that shit. There was no shit to happen. Nobody was upset. It was just me trying to be preemptive and assuming shit. So the Ohio jokes aren't for you. They're for me. But yeah, no, it's players that take shit too serious. You know, it's like it's a fucking game. Now, the flip side of that, if Aurelius's brother, if Chico would have gotten pissed because his character died, I could understand that. Because granted, it was his choice to go in there, but he wouldn't have had to go in there if Kieran didn't lay that pipe bomb. And I would understand where he would be upset, where he'd be like, dude, really? Like, you thought it was a good idea? That's why I made sure as Nick Valentine to mention. You did this, you're mad because nobody's being nice to you. You're egotistical, you're self-centered, and what's that other one?
Narcissistic.
Narcissistic, thank you. You're narcissistic. Like, I'm pointing out these qualities because that's what his character is. And it was pointed out to him. Now, his character, of course, played into that. Again, kudos to the player. Because the player could have taken that shit personal. But he didn't. And I think that is a good balance. Where the player isn't the player. The player is this character. And they know that, okay, I'm this character. Nobody's mad at me at the table. Like with you and Tenley.
Right. Well, I was so happy to play with someone like him, playing a character like that, because it was such a perfect contrast to Yori, who was like a benevolent soul who just wanted to spread happiness through music and help people, versus working directly with someone like Tenley, who is literally just self-serving and doesn't care who he has to hurt or kill along the way to get a little bit of money.
Yeah, no kidding. Even the smallest amount of money.
Yeah.
But that was perfect. that was perfectly played, that was perfectly done, the interactions between you guys, and then at the end, it's just like, you, the player, was just like, dude, whoa, that was fucking, like, you were impressed, it seems. I mean,
Yeah,
you could have just been bullshitting and writing in a diary how much you hate us all. But
right.
I don't know.
Well, that was my first experience with an online game. I had never played D&D in an online setting before. So I really had no expectations for how good everyone's role playing chops were going to be and how inventive they were with their characters, like how far they were going to stray from the line of like realism or normalcy. And I was super happy to find that it was crazily outside of what I expected, but also sort of exactly what I expected in a good way. There was a point where
Yeah.
I was like, I can still work with this. I can play off these characters. This is good. So I almost immediately found my comfort zone with those guys.
Oh yeah, and I'll be honest, as the DM, I was a little nervous because we're all very much big personalities, and I can only speak for myself, but I know at times I am extremely abrasive, and it's not like I try to be. It's just it just happens sometimes. If I catch myself being abrasive, I'll tone it down because it's not a quality that everybody enjoys. It's not a quality that people really go, hey, you're a fucking asshole to me, so I'm enjoying it.
Right, but it's never been a thing where it's never been taken too far. Like you've never used your position as
exactly.
like basically the de facto DM of the group to like abuse your power or anything. That's never been an issue. You always allow a lot of freedom with player agency, and really the only time you step in to like curtail something is when it goes to the point where it's like, okay, well, you're kind of derailing the conversation, or we've been on, X plot point or whatever for this amount of time. We need to move forward, but it's never been in a way that stifles anybody's creativity or fun at the table.
I tell you this, in one of the earlier episodes, there's a part, and I did have to step in on this one because I very rarely do I feel that something is going too far. So, in one of the episodes, I forget which one, Balthazar is basically slutting his way through this town trying to make as much money as possible. And it gets to a point where he's with this woman. Now, Balthazar is the first character, or the second character introduced that has had the use of firearms, like pistols, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm. A gun wizard.
Yeah. So basically, he'd cast a spell. If it fails, he's pulling out a gun and shooting you.
Right. Just for reference, everybody, on Discord, Balthazar's profile pic is his character. It's literally basically looks exactly like Merlin with a wood staff and blue pointed hat and everything with the gun.
It's a revolver too, I believe. And this guy's dripping with he's dripping with semen. like what the fuck? But so he's in the bedroom with this woman, and now me personally, I'm not trying to, role play the whole sex aspect. I'll say like, yeah, you two are in the heat of the moment, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just pulling me back into it. He's just like, okay, now we're back to me. And it's just like, okay. So he's just like, yeah, she tells me to put the gun to her head and, do that. And I was just like, okay, roll a D20.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
And he goes, why? What happened? Well, because it's just like, all right, now we gotta, end this shit quick.
Mm-hmm.
So he rolls a D20. I couldn't tell you if he rolled high or low because at the end of the day, it was going to happen. He ends up shooting her in the head, killing her.
Oh, no.
And he was like, whoa, wait, whoa. And it's just like, all right, and we move past that. Now, since that happened, we've never been in that position again.
Right. It's been like a fade to black kind of thing anytime something explicit comes up like that.
exactly.
I think that's the
It's
best way to
been
go
like
about
a
it.
yeah. And I mean, like, if you and that's where you need to talk with the other players. If you and another player want to have some kind of romance thing going on, that's fine. I'm all for it. Cool. Except I need you both to tell me that you're all for it.
Right.
Because
And
yeah,
in terms
and
of like in
we're
at,
fading to black 100% because I
right
ain't trying to hear two dudes or when a chick joins us, I'm not trying to hear that fucking conversation
right
sit there with an awkward boner.
at the table, it's got to be kept at like PG-13 at the most, and anything past that is a fade to black.
Yeah, if we're going like we go R is fine, but anything past R NC-17, nah, that's fade to black
Right.
because I'm not trying to play that because I am the DM and I mean if like for instance if Balthazar really wanted to push that, well then we're gonna have some Patreon content here because you know we're doing this, we're going full hog on this one. But I'm glad that it ended at that point because it's just like, okay, now you're making me a bit uncomfortable because now you're treading into water that don't even need to be treaded into.
Mm-hmm.
Like gunplay. Like, I mean, I know it's a thing, but not many people know it's a fucking thing. So let's keep it that way. So yeah, that's the only time I've ever had to actually put my foot down and say, nope, we're not playing that game.
Yeah,
We're doing it this way.
I guess that would be my my third like top three red flag is if players try to force like 18 plus stuff at the table.
Yep.
Luckily, I've never had anything like that come up as a DM in any of my home games or anything like that. But I just know that that's the type of thing that I know for a fact. Pretty much any one of the type of people that I would play with, in actual play games, like in-person games, wouldn't be comfortable with that, and I certainly wouldn't be comfortable with it. So that would be like for me, that would be like, I'd say respectfully no, and then if they try to force the issue, they'd be away from my table permanently, unfortunately, because that's not my bag.
Yeah. No, and I get that. Like, if it would have, if after the gunshot it would have continued, then it'd have been a conversation like, hey man, we're gonna have we're gonna have a talk,
Mm-hmm.
and a conversation in private, of course,
Right.
and it consists of, hey, that shit's not cool. I get I get that you're trying to be funny. It's not funny. There's that line that you can tread
Mm-hmm.
where funny and not funny is. And if you tread that line perfectly, that works. But the second you go past that line and just kind of run off to fucking outer space with it, it's just like, okay, it's not that funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it ended at the dice roll, which was perfectly fine with me. And I'm glad I didn't have to have that conversation. I'm glad I don't have to have that conversation because
Right.
it's one of those, I mean, like I'm not even comfortable trying to think of how that conversation would go in my head because it's just like, how the fuck do you tell somebody like, hey, that's a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And by the way, like I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody who does participate in like 18 plus games because I know those exist. I'm not,
no, 100%.
crucifying everyone if
Those
that's like what you do. That's cool. But just for me, that's not something that I would do at any of my tables.
Nah, doing 18 plus, erotic role play, ERP. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it because everyone at the table has agreed that it's gonna have erotic role play. Everyone at the table has agreed that, X, Y, and Z are safe to do, and X, Y, and Z are the hard boundaries.
Right.
That shit, that's perfectly fine. Would I partake? Probably not, because
Right, but
I don't know.
we're
I
at a
just think it's
table
fucking
of
weird.
like we're at a table of like 6 or 7 pretty heteronormative dudes. So even if we all somehow agreed, I think at that point we would all just be forcing ourselves to pretend to like it anyway.
I, I don't know. You say heteronormal, man. I don't know. Well, some of us act pretty fucking gay, so
I mean,
like,
like act zesty maybe, but like
motherfucker said act zesty. Wow.
I
I
don't know.
think that's the best. We act zesty.
Yeah,
We got to call an episode that the the
zest
zesty talk. The what?
zest fest.
Oh, we're using that one. That's what this one's called, the Zest Fest.
Um,
Oh shit.
well, if you'd like, we can move on to my topic now, unless you had something else
Oh,
to bring up with that.
oh no, I was just gonna label off
Oh
my
yeah, you
red
didn't even get
flags.
to. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
cool. Fuck me, right?
all right, we're done with me. Now moving along. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're done with the main character. Speaking of main characters,
Yeah,
no, one of
after
my
I just got finished talking about like no 1% of the table is a main character. Anyway, now we're done with my part. Thanks, boss. Moving on.
no fucking no, I think we share a couple similar red flags. The fudging of dice. I
Mhm.
think, it's just like it, fail. It's okay to fail. That's what makes every story great, is the hero's failures and how they overcame those failures. If the
Right.
hero is constantly winning and never failing, congratulations, you have a dull, boring ass story. Um Player agency, when
Mhm.
it's not given, if you're, or it's taken over by a player, yeah, that's a red flag, because it's just like, I want you guys to, be free in your character development. I want you to be free to play your character how you want to play your character.
Mhm.
However, you're not free to dictate what someone else's character does, what someone else's character sees. And you definitely aren't free to dictate how, the NPCs in the world act and feel and all that shit.
Mhm.
Unless it's agreed upon, which would be like, oh, I would like to charm this person or give off the illusion, so that this person could in fact see this, or something along those lines, but
Right.
not, oh, what this NPC is seeing right now is me, the energy just billowing off of me. You're just fucking standing there, dude.
Right. You can't like superimpose anything. There has to be like a narrative or like mechanical like reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the third one, and this is going to come off as contradictory, um players attacking each other. Yeah, I know it's going to come off as contradictory. Now when I say attacking each other, if you guys are getting into a fist fight over, a drunken banter, I'm perfectly fine with that. 110% fine with it. If you and another player end up coming at odds, so for instance, you guys are at a crossroads and one of you decides to, go the opposite direction with this choice, and you guys talk it out and there is no, convincing the other. Like, you've tried and there is no convincing the other, and the only thing that's left is coming to blows. 110% support it.
But you're talking about
If
infighting with players, not like characters in game, right?
no, I'm talking characters. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
characters. If the players are fighting, that's something completely separate, and that's something that needs to be addressed by the DM. Hence the Ohio thing. I thought.
God damn it.
But no, I'm saying, like, for instance, there's an episode where Balthazar sleeps with another character's aunt. and they were both consenting. It wasn't like Balthazar, forced himself. He was being charming. She was digging it. The player said, "Hey, be respectful." Absolutely was respectful. Almost, he finds out, and he does a spell on him. Casts a spell at the highest level he possibly can. Almost kills his character, and we retcon it to where he casts it at a lower level because he was going to kill him.
Right.
And it's just like, okay, but what was the reason other than to just try to be a tough guy? Like, that could be handled with a conversation. Like, hey, why'd you sleep with my aunt? Well, blah, blah, blah. There could be some tension, some animosity. Your character's not just going to outright kill somebody.
Right.
Because they did something you didn't agree with.
Some yelling, some shoving, maybe like a punch to the face, but like just outright killing someone because...
Yeah. Casting what was it? I think it was a 5th level spell, a 4th level spell. It's just like, that's a bit much. That's no more than just trying to be a tough guy.
Right.
That kind of bullshit. Like, oh, I'm just going to outright kill your character because you did something I don't like or I disagree with. Like, no build up, no nothing, just outright kill. Not a fan of that shit. That's a red flag in my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, it don't belong. Because, yes, it should have been seen that Balthazar was going to seduce dude's aunt. He told him not to, and it was going to happen because you told the man not to. Now, that being said, you can build that up. You can build that tension. You can build that frustration to where ultimately it does boil over to throwing fists. It does boil over to, fighting each other and it almost leading to a player death.
Right. But not every negative interaction between like player characters has to be 0 to 100 right out the gate.
Exactly. Because it's just like, because the character that was being played was one of those like, hey, I'm a good guy. I do a lot of good stuff. I really care about the people. It was a good character. But that interaction was not a player character and a player character interaction. That was a player and a player character interaction. Like, I could kill you, right? I'm going to kill you, right? It's just like, like, okay, but now you're just coming off as like, oh, I'm a tough guy. Like, all right, that's good. Have fun with that shit. They're no longer part of the group anymore, but that's one of my red flags because it's just like, that one left a bad taste in my mouth. I have to be honest.
Right. Well, I kind of have a general rule with like how inter-party like relationships between characters work is like you should not make a decision that changes the situation without changing the character dynamic. Any decision that involves 2 or more characters in the party, it needs to change it needs to shift the dynamic. It can't just change the situation. Otherwise, there's no weight to it. And then it's a useless action. It's a useless argument or fight or whatever it is. It has to be not long lasting, but it has to occur over some set of time that's not like instant, that changes the dynamic. Because that's the whole point of making like a brash decision or saying or doing something out of pocket or out of the ordinary or unsavory or whatever, right? Because in real life situations, that's how relationships work. You say or do something that someone doesn't like. It's not 0 to 100 and then you're back to normal. The next minute, it's like, no, your dynamic with that friend changes.
Oh yeah. And even in the, worst case situations, I mean, say a friend that decides to, brutally murder somebody. Okay. This person before they decided to do this, and you're going to try to appeal to that side of the person that you knew. You're not going to just immediately, oh my God, you killed somebody, and then just blow their fucking head off or stab them or kill them.
Might depend on who they killed and how, but
we'll not say that it's like close family, because we'll say that it's just some stranger.
Right, like you see someone
100%.
Right.
If it was family, I mean, everybody's going to act wild on that one.
But you're saying like you would perceive this person differently and tread differently around them if you just saw them blow someone's head off. Absolutely.
Exactly. And you're not going to go from 0 to 100. You're going to try to appeal to them. You're going to try to, like, hey man, what you did was wrong. You need to do the right thing here. And if that person progressively goes down that same path, because it's not just an instant, oh, hey, I'm going to run to the end of this tunnel and, go from point A to point B in, a matter of a half a second. There's still that trip from point A to point B that they need to make.
I mean, that is still pretty extreme hyperbole, but I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah, well, and it is an extreme, one, because, to use D&D as an example, a paladin worships a god. Now they're in a party with somebody who, is godless, or, the furthest extreme. Their patron is an archfiend or a devil or a fiend. There's going to be some conflict there. And one of them, most likely the paladin, is going to try to convince the fiend worshiper that they need to, change their ways and to come to their, to their deity or whatever. And it's going to be, a back and forth. One's going to talk shit. The other one's going to be like, hey, it's not like that at all. Eventually, they're going to come to a crossroads. Eventually, they're going to separate on that path. And eventually, they're going to come towards facing one another. And in that moment, are they going to fight, or are they going to try to work through it?
Right.
But for a paladin to say, oh, your patrons of fiend, I'm going to kill and smite them. Like, yeah, sure, that would work if they weren't working together.
Right.
And on top of that, how much knowledge are you taking as the player and giving to your character? Because would your character know right off the bat, oh, hey, this person worships a fiend? I mean, not too many people, as far as I know, it's not too many people outright, when they're playing those characters that have like the fiendish patrons, that they, will come out and boast about it. Oh yeah, my patron is the goddess of fucking death and murder, or the god of raiding and pillaging. Not too many people would come out and say that, because it's one of those things where the perception of it, the perceived perception of it is, oh, you're fucking evil. Like with my character, Malik, not getting too much into it. Well, no, by the time this comes out, the one shot will already be out.
Good, so.
But like my character, Malik, he's a fucking lich, and I didn't come out right and say that he's a fucking lich.
You almost had to, because Richie basically guessed your backstory right off the bat.
What, that I killed my wife?
Yeah.
I didn't kill my wife.
Well, right, but it was kind of like in the ballpark of like a backstory surrounding death of your wife.
Yeah, my wife was killed. He almost did. I mean, I know you said that I was my lichdom, and I'm like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, I let it slip, and I was like, well, I can't take back what I said.
It's all right, I cut it out. All right. So the lichdom does eventually get exposed, but yeah, no, it's just, my character worked for Asmodeus in exchange for the power of lichdom, the power of, all that. I didn't come out, you'd never come out right and say it, because I guarantee if You know, if I would have said like, oh, hey, you know, I'm a lich, blah, 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 the cleric of the group, who I would assume is a good person, would try to smite me or try to cleanse me. Not smite, that's a paladin. But I would assume that, you know, try to cleanse me, cast a healing on me or something, because it's what the characters would do. Now, why would I come out and reveal some big ass secret like that? I mean, my character spent, you know, hundreds of years basically just hiding amongst people. That's why my character is just a very generic looking dude. He's very tall, but he's very generic looking. You know, he's very unassuming aside from his height. And the height is the only thing you really can't change. Because, I mean, you know, well, no, you can change, but I didn't think I wanted to change it with an illusionary ring, because I wanted to even see if I could use the illusionary ring just to make myself appear human. But yeah, I mean, to come out and, you know, you say like, oh, I worship this. It's like, why would you? Why? There's cults for a reason. They work in mystery. But yeah, no, I think attacking players just outright because fucking reasons. And when I say reasons, I don't mean actual legitimate reasons. I mean, I can't think of a plausible reason other than just saying reasons.
Right.
So yeah, fucking, I hate that shit. Like, if you don't like a character, fine. Don't like that character. But don't fuck up somebody else's experience because you don't like their character. You don't like how they're playing their character.
Absolutely.
Like, fuck all that. Those are my 3 red flags for players. I haven't had many experiences with DMs, so I can't really say too much. Aside from the ones that we've already gone over, which is racism for the sake of racism, rape and sexual assault, and anything with kids. Like, but those are, you know, those should be standard. But moving on to our next topic, kind of a new portion. I think you'd be kind of taking the lead on, because I'll be honest, I don't listen to much music.
Well, we can do that at the end of the podcast, like basically before we sign off. That's because that's just a small little thing. And there's also something else that I want to do at the end of the podcast, so we'll address that later.
Are we gonna have phone sex?
Well, yeah,
Roll
but that's
B20.
well, yeah, but that's gonna be edited out, you know, for the Patreon.
You hope. Might get a sneak peek. Is that a belly button? No, it's my dick, bro.
I wanted to ask, and I'll share 1 or 2 of mine as well. What are some of your coolest NPC ideas that either you have already put in a game or you haven't gotten to put in yet? And it can be for the Fallout campaign, or, well, maybe you might not want to give those away, but or it can be for any upcoming campaigns or things that you've already done or things that just didn't pan out. But just like, give me 1 or 2 NPC ideas that you had, you know, that were just like the motifs around them or their history or whatever dynamic you were thinking they could have at the party. Just something about it that was really, really cool that you were really excited for.
Okay, so I actually like this, as I get to talk a little bit about the creations. Marrowshare Darkmoon, you guys have already encountered her. Basically, she was in I think she was in the second one shot where you guys were in that town that, you know, was gonna get cleansed in 7 days. She was the dark elf that basically put all that shit in motion. Now you guys are in purgatory trying to get the head of the demon that she had sealed away.
Gotcha.
Oh, dude, I absolutely... And I'm not a big fan of making female characters because it's very easy to it's very easy to fuck up and create, something that's hypersexualized and not even meaning it to be
Mhm.
hypersexualized. Like when I create female characters or I create a race, I go in with the goal to not make them perceived as hypersexualized or sexualized in any manner. The second character going in with Marishare is Arcus. Now, Arcus, the Blood Orc, is the dead undead boyfriend of Marishare Darkman. So they have a story together, and it's one of those that eventually may pop up. They, or it's just like, oh shit, here they are. She's a necromancer and a alchemist, and he's an undead orc who was brought back to life by her necromantic and alchemic abilities. Now she looks like a dark elf, but she's not the typical dark elf. She was actually born to elf, like high elf. I forget what they're called in D&D, but basically, you got like in Skyrim, you've got the wood elves, the high elves.
Dark
Yeah,
elves.
yeah. So basically, she was born. She was born to the, not the wood elf version, but the elf version of D&D. Her parents were normal, just not dark elves. She was born different, and it showed in the village, without getting too much into her backstory. Village turned on, the family because she's different, and all the bad shit that occurred is because of her. She's a bad omen. Arcus was her, love interest, and he was eventually killed by, some goblins. He was a bardic merchant who would sing songs and sell goods, and he's an orc, so you can imagine how beautiful his voice was. But yeah, it was interesting of a character mix with both of them. And God, I wish I get the opportunity possibly to bring those two up, because that would be fucking fun.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope we get to explore that if we ever revisit that one shot.
well, think of you've played Warhammer, right?
I've not played Warhammer, no.
Or not Warhammer, sorry. Is it Warcraft? I think it's Warcraft.
I've never played Warcraft.
Yeah, I've never played World of Warcraft, but I played Warcraft, and I think it's the third one or the second one where the orcs, they make a pact with like a demon, and instead of being green, they have red skin to, like, I guess embody their, their rage. And I think they're called I think they're called blood orcs. I can't remember. But yeah, that's basically what Arcus is based off of. Is, his appearance is based off of them.
Cool.
His story is completely, a tragic one. But
we love our edgy, tragic backstories.
well, not super. It's not super edgy. It's definitely one of those that's just, it's a, a tragic romance. Bad timing, a tragic romance. He ends up getting killed. He was waiting for her in the woods to, run away with, and he ended up getting killed. Townspeople found out that he was killed. They immediately accused her because they were seen hanging out a lot, and that must be, what had happened. So yeah, it's one of those that she raised him from the dead, but a little too, I guess you could say, a little too early before, she actually learned how to properly raise a soul and put it into the body. She literally just raised a zombie, but a zombie that is her dead boyfriend. So, but yeah, not so much edgy because it's. God, I hate those edgy ones. It's like, oh yeah, I was raised in an orphanage, and like, yeah, I'm getting way too fucking excited. Your turn.
All right. Well, so this is one that I was planning on doing. And I talked about, I think the pilot episode, I talked about that campaign that I was planning on doing in like a tropical island or like series of tropical islands. So it was like I had a whole shop, like a whole business based around it. So it was a combination magic item shop and tavern run by this middle aged tiefling woman who was just called Madam Mimic, and basically she started a conservation effort on the island to show that mimics can be rehabilitated to not hunt people, basically. So everything in her shop is rehabilitated mimics: the tables, the chairs, the mugs, everything. So
Jesus.
yeah, it was a really interesting concept that I would have loved to expand upon that never uh, got to be introduced because the campaign fell through due to scheduling issues and people moving out and all that. Um, but I basically had a whole quest line where she would basically hire the party to go to dangerous places that she couldn't go on her own because she isn't an adventurer. She's just a conservationist and a tavern owner. She would basically rent out the party, like hire them per diem to go out to these dangerous caverns where she had tracked like where mimics are. Basically put them in these like no kill traps, bring them back. So yeah, basically she would hire the adventuring party to go to put them in these no kill traps once they went to the dangerous areas and found them, bring them back, and then she would reward them for it, and she would train up the mimics and rehabilitate them.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely fucking cool because, I mean, yeah, mimics can be practically anything inanimate.
Yeah. I also had this idea of a tap house run by a Yeti, um, with that could use ice magic. So he would always serve like super ice cold drinks. That was the basic motif around it. Nothing too involved or intricate with that. I just wanted I made that because I wanted a reason to put in the homebrew Sasquatch race that I made. So I was like, hey, well, why not a Yeti? Have him run a business.
Shit. That's that's fucking cool. Yeah, no, fucking that I forget what they're called in anime, but like the cat girls.
Oh, the word for animal ear is, I think it's cat ear specifically. Is Nekomimi. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese, and I'm not that much of a weeb. But yeah.
Oh well. So I thought, hey, how cool would it be to have, races that are like mixed races?
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, you have what's it called? The I want to call them like half dragons, where it's a feature out of Fizzbands, I believe. The Fizzbands Treasury of Dragons, where you could create half dragons. And I thought, oh, that's cool. And then I thought, well, there is the the bullshit thing with bards where they just go around and fuck everything.
Yeah, the stereotype.
And yeah. So I was like, it'd be really cool is what happens to those kids that do inevitably get born.
Right.
From
not dragonborns, but
yeah, but other races, like, you've got the lizard folk, you've got the You know, you've got different animals that apparently bards like to fuck. But how cool would it be to have a race like that? Now, granted,
Oh my
there,
god, dude! Imagine like a human mimic who's like,
yes.
yeah, that'd be super overpowered as like a player
Oh,
race.
holy shit. It definitely would be. But I thought, well, what would I call these things? I was like,
Mhm.
demi-human. Because, I mean, the fucking Necco, whatever the fuck, that's hella sexualized. And I'm not,
Yeah,
you know, like I said, I don't try to make things sexual, you know, or sexualize them. And I was like, oh man, you know, there's gonna be somebody's like, oh, is that a fox girl? Like, okay, so how do I take that and change it? Well, these things are fucking abominations. Like, you know, they're the abhorrent mixture of what shouldn't be.
right.
Okay, so they are perceived as abominations. They're actually hated for what they are. Nobody sexualizes them because
Right.
why the fuck
They're
would they? They're
they're
fucking
basically
freaks.
they're fully actualized homunculi.
Yeah, yeah, but like human and like human hybrid kind of
Mhm.
deal.
Like it
So I
would
was like,
look
oh fuck.
like if it was like a half dragon demi human, they wouldn't look like a dragonborn, but they'd have like super like rough like scaly skin or something, right?
Exactly. Like they would
Gotcha.
like you know, they would have you know features of like a dragon or dragonborn. So they would have like the patches of scales. And when I
Hmm.
say patches, I mean patches. They would have human flesh intermingled with patches of scales.
Hmm.
So and they're not going to look pretty. They're not going to look, you know, good. They're going to look like fucking abominations. Now, if a player wanted to play that, they are going to go uphill with that shit.
Hmm.
That's an uphill battle because not only are you perceived as an abomination, you are treated as such because you are an
You'd have to like cover
immoral.
your face.
Exactly. Exactly. And granted, you know, if you're trying to be a hero with this race, it's hard. And you are gonna, you know, have those moments where you're just like, oh my god, what the fuck am I doing? I'm
Right.
starting to actually agree with the villain. You know?
But I think it'd
So
be a really cool dichotomy where it's like, yeah, you're treated horribly everywhere you go, but you might have like some really powerful abilities that you can use as like a trade-off. Like I imagine like a mimic demi-human, they'd have like jagged teeth and random eyes jutting out at random parts of their body, but maybe like once per long rest or something, they could turn into like an inanimate object and go like completely unnoticed. That's like the perfect build for like a rogue.
or they, you know, they have that fucked face and you
Mm-hmm.
know, they wear the coverings and shit. And once per long rest, they can you know, shape change, say an appendage of their body.
Mm.
So for instance, their arm becomes a sword, or you know, their fingers are now daggers.
Oh, that'd be cool. Or like a set of lock
Yeah,
picks or something.
exactly. Not only is that a rogue build, but that's also an assassin build. And on top of that, that's a sleeper build right there. Because I mean, imagine introducing that to the party. Well, you see this real unassuming person who's wearing a mask and kind of really covering up their faces. They were patted down before they got here, you know, and all of a sudden they, you know, they get talked to, and you know, shit happens, and up now you're fighting this person. Well, the party's gonna be like, well, he's got no weapons. I have the advantage. Oh, yeah, you see his arm become a shield and his other arm become a fucking sword. Well, that advantage is fucking gone because now
Yep.
you're fucking surprised. Now that motherfucker's got advantage over you.
Hmm.
But holy shit, that'd be wild. But yeah, you know, just a whole race of people that are just fucking abominations and treated as such. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Be
there's a
pretty
freebie
interesting
for
to,
anyone who uses the creation feature on D&D Beyond or something. You make some demi-human player races.
right? That'd be pretty cool. I bet you it's already there. I
Yeah,
bet you my idea is not fucking
probably
original at
half
all.
dragons, half werewolves, half mimics, something like that.
Right? I mean, that's fucking one of those things. Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, I don't put none of my shit on D&D Beyond because they got a bad habit of
Yeah.
stealing shit and publishing it for themselves. Because there's this book called it's a third party book. It's called Grimlore's Grimoire,
Hmm.
and there's a spell in there called it's what were those things called that basically had the blade that would drop down and cut your head off? I'm forgetting what it's called. Guillotine. It there's a spell in that book called Guillotine. Well, once that book was published, funny enough, there was another spell that came out from D&D called Guillotine. And it's just like, huh, that's weird. They both work the same exact fucking way. Except D&D didn't have a guillotine spell until I think it was what fucking book was it that came out? Fuck, I am spacing on the book. Let me look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, D&D likes to steal shit. Wizards of the Coast like to steal shit and then act like, it was their idea. Let's see.
Oh yeah, the whole open developer license fiasco or whatever from like a year ago.
Let's see. Guillotine spell. It's a first level conjuration spell. I'm not interested in this bullshit. Wow, really? You motherfuckers. All right, let's try it again. Because I don't need that huge ass ad right there. All right, what book was this in? Does it tell me? Okay, it's third party. Okay, so it's a third party spell. It's okay, Grimlore Entertainment. All right, so that's the spell. So I spelled guillotine right.
Yeah, it's spelled like guillotine.
Yeah. It's a 3. Is it a 3.5 spell? Oh, yeah, I may end up being wrong on this one.
Some 3.5 stuff is pretty overpowered.
Oh.
But you're referring to like when you say like D&D or Wizards of the Coast has a habit of stealing stuff. You're talking about the whole OGL fiasco from like 2 years ago or whatever, right?
Yeah, basically oh, now I can't find the fucking spell.
It was something like if you made a certain amount of money off of like homebrewed stuff and used like, and if it was like, and if it was used for D&D at all, Wizards of the Coast could take up to like 50% of whatever you make or something like that. I might be getting the statistics wrong, but
no, the OGL thing. That was when that happened. I ended up saying to everybody, we don't publish anything on any Wizards of the Coast, applications or any websites. So if if we do end up publishing shit, it'll be our own shit through our own stuff. Because I don't think that shit's cool. Granted, are we ever gonna make that kind of money? No. However, Wizards of the Coast is known for snatching shit that people come up with.
Yeah.
And
they have enough money.
parading it as their own. Like my favorite, I forget what book it was a recent one where they didn't even use actual art. They just used AI images. Yeah. And one of the alluring things about Dungeons and Dragons is their artwork. They do some damn beautiful artwork, but in one of their newest books, they used AI imaging. Of course, they denied it at first, but then ultimately, admitted to having the help of AI images. Um, but yeah, no, the OGL thing was what made me go, yeah, we're not publishing shit on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
We're not, we're not dealing with that bullshit, because I mean, people who create stuff for D&D and they create stuff to share with the community, they work really hard on that stuff. And then to have somebody go, yoink, nope, that's mine, and then turn around and try to say that you can't use this even though you created it. Well, you used our system to create it, so it's technically ours. Like, hold the fuck on. No, that doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Now, with the OGL thing, they were saying that people who are making millions of dollars, or X amount, I think it was like an X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you're telling these companies that, oh, well, you owe us a percentage. Like Paizo that creates Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me the people that were unhappy with D&D owe you something? Kobold Press, same thing. You're telling me that these companies that put out third-party stuff owe you something. Like, no, they don't owe you jack shit. And I think Kobold Press is working with D&D, or with the Wizards of the Coast. I think they're working, together. So I think that's a thing, because I do know that, like, on D&D Beyond, they have some Kobold Press, some I think a few Paizo games as well on their D&D app. So I think they're working together, but even so, it's just like, if you're threatening these big guys with taking their shit and using their shit, and they can't say shit to you, what about the little people? The little people that don't have, the financial backing. All they got is creativity and time. And they create something that is well loved, well perceived by the community, just to have some cocksucker, some faceless, nameless cocksucker, steal it, reproduce it, and say, yeah, we're not having this on our site anymore because it's too close to ours. Like, the fuck you mean it's too, you took it. The fuck you mean too close to yours? So yeah, that's why it's just like, if we produce anything or publish anything, it's not going to be where someone can start sticking their fingers in that pie.
Yeah,
because that pissed me off. That's why I've told a couple of you guys, if you guys end up creating shit and we do publish it, that's your slice of pie. That's your pie to do with how you want, because that's your creativity. I'm not gonna stick my fingers in your pie and say, well, no, fuck that. It's your creativity. You do with it what you want. But yeah, that OGL fiasco, and then the turnaround and try to gaslight the community, and, oh, well, that's not actually what happened. Like, so you mean to tell me that the companies that released your demand letter, oh, those were fake demand letters? Oh, interesting. You didn't sue these people for defamation? Oh, that's interesting too. Because that's a slam dunk case.
Let's also not forget when they sent the fucking Pinkertons after some guy who happened to get a pack of cards like earlier than he should have, and there was no way he could have known.
Oh yeah, that was
funny, because you remember in Red Dead 2 how the Pinkerton agency actually tried to sue Take-Two Creative for painting them in a bad light? I would say, in comparison to how the Pinkertons actually operate, they kind of made them look pretty good in Red Dead 2.
Well, and yeah, it's just one of those things. Watch us get a cease and desist letter, because how dare we talk about these people? These are just opinions. We're not, trying to pass them off as factual proof. These are opinions, and these are stories that have been shared with the ones that I've spoken on. Those have been shared with me. I'm not trying to pass this on as factual. Don't try to sue me because you can't get blood from a turnip.
Right. This is all like alleged through word of mouth in Minecraft, etc., etc.
Exactly.
Don't send the Hasbro ninjas after us.
Yeah, like this is fucking word of mouth. But no, I mean, yeah, I think the whole OGL fiasco, I think that definitely definitely put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Me for one, because it's just like, yeah, no, I don't play that game. You got your guys' creativity is your own. And I mean, that'd be just as bad as, somebody saying like, oh yeah, Balthazar is my favorite character. Oh, well, I had a hand. No, fuck all that. Yeah, the player that created Balthazar, 100%. He did a fantastic job. He plays the character very entertainingly.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's his quote unquote baby. Same with Richie. Now, granted, with Tenley, I did have a hand in creating that for him. Same with D. Pity. However, I just gave him a skeleton.
Right.
I didn't tell him anything about these characters. He just ran with it. So if somebody, oh yeah, like the that Tenley character, fuck, that was a funny character, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, he did it perfectly. He did it beautifully. Not gonna take credit for something I didn't fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently Wizards of the Coast was perfectly fine with doing that.
Allegedly.
Well, no, the OGL thing is publicly known.
Right.
So it's not
I'm just making the joke.
Oh, I was gonna say it's not like we're making shit up. I still have a copy of that OGL bullshit that they put out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just like, who the fuck wants to deal with that shit? You bust your ass to create something just to have some cocksucker steal it from you. Or expect a slice of pie. Like, Now, if they've changed, because I heard that they did go back on it.
They've since then altered the OGL to be a little more fair to creators. As far as I'm aware.
Yeah, because I haven't taken a look at the new OGL because I was done at that point. I don't buy any more D&D books. I only buy third party.
Mm-hmm.
I still use, I still call it D&D because it's based off of the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to D&D 1 or whatever the fuck they call it now. Not doing none of that shit. Yeah. Because it's just like I really didn't like what they did. So, granted, I still play D&D, but it's
no love lost for Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, it's shit that I've already bought and paid for. Mm-hmm. And now they can't come to my house and tell me, give us all your books because reasons. Like, fuck you.
Because it's not World War II Germany, damn it.
Right? Like, it's because...
Give us to see Dungeons and the Dragons.
That's when I'd go, I am half Jew and I know where you're going with this. It's okay. We are here to collect the Dungeons and Dragons books. Do not panic. Just do as we say. Comply.
Just comply and face the wall.
And give us your shoes.
Oh no. Okay. Do we want to?
Yeah, no, that mimic, Miss Mimic. That sounds like a cool ass thing.
It's Madame Mimic.
Oh,
she's a proper lady. You will refer to her as such.
My mistake. Oops, Madame Mimic.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So do we want to do one or two quotes real quick and then wrap it up?
Uh, let's see. We're going about an hour and 40. About an hour and 30. Yeah, let's take a quick break. Let me have a smoke and we'll get to it.
All right. I'll go refill my water real quick.
Me too.
All right.
Oh, all right. Are you
Welcome
back?
Yep.
Ah, I will say this though, before we get started. One of the funniest fucking things that happened in our D&D campaign, the original one, was when Richie was having so much fun. This man says he's gonna piss in a creamer bottle because he doesn't want to get up and leave. That has to be one of the funniest fucking things. I was sitting outside having a smoke, and I was like, I saw this commercial for creamer come up, and I was just like, oh fuck. Richie was having so much fun. He's like, oh god. He's like, I'm about to piss in this creamer bottle because I'm having so much fun. Shit.
That's funny.
All right, so what lines are we reading today?
All right. Well, let me find one to send to you real quick, and then I can do mine.
All right. Now, should we overlay like how you see on Facebook? I don't know if they still got them. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but the two wolves looking at each other, the one white wolf and the black wolf. Like the those kind of quotes.
I have two wolves inside me. They're both gay.
Those divorced dad fucking memes. Oh, it's like, throw me to the wolves and I'll come back leading the pack. It's like, yep, that fucking leadership skill never showed up for 40 years until now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
If it's cool, if it's this all the same to you while you're reading through that, I'll do mine here.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. When everything else falls away, when men have died laying their life down for the greater good, when the gods no longer smile on this world, when evil step from the shadows to bare their teeth, there will be only two things left: us and the enemy. And then there will be only one. We must decide, here and now, which of the two will remain. I'm having trouble finding quotes that are like kind of even in length, because I did notice the one I gave you again is a little bit longer than that one.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna read this one straight through. I'll do a voice, but
okay.
I'm noticing something. I'm gonna run it by. It's not me being a dick. It's just a little constructive criticism. However, I will say, I'll read this out. Let's see, what would be a good voice? This is more of like an evil fucking villain quote. And did anyone ever try to stop those who make I am? Should I bear their burden as well? No. I refuse to be told I cannot do what I will. After years of everyone letting the world do with me whatever it pleased, my suffering was reliant on others' benefit. Jesus, I am just shit at reading today. I'm simply returning the favor 1,000-fold. And truly, Even now I cannot fault them. I understand now how good it feels to crush one's spirit beneath my boots, just as I will do with your bodies. Take pride in knowing you will be the only ones that did not try to run. So aside from me fucking that up, and I can reread that again.
No, it's good.
But I'm gonna reread it. I didn't like that. That was yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, okay, I'll go fuck myself. And did anyone ever try to stop those who made me into what I am? Should I bear their burden as well? No. I refuse to be told I cannot do what I will. After years of everyone letting the world do with me whatever it pleased, my suffering was reliant on others' benefit. I'm simply returning the favor 1,000-fold. And truly, even now I cannot fault them. I understand now how good it feels to crush one's spirit beneath my boots, just as I will do with your bodies. Take pride in knowing you will be the only ones that did not try to run. Now that was a bit better because I wasn't stumbling over my own words and adding shit that was not there. So, with these quotes, I have noticed that there's a lot of addition that doesn't need to be stated.
Mm-hmm.
Like the I understand now how true how good it feels to crush one's spirit beneath my boot. Don't even have to say the just as I will do with your bodies.
Gotcha.
That the ellipsis after that was perfect because it's just like, all right, that implies like, oh, I know how good it feels to crush one's spirit beneath my boot.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it definitely is pretty extra. Keep in mind, a lot of these I wrote like 5 years ago.
Well, and it's okay. I'm not saying like they're terrible. There's a little extra with it, and I have the same problem because like sometimes it feels like maybe the point hasn't gotten across.
Yeah, and you want to put a little extra into it.
Yeah, to kind of emphasize the point, but sometimes it does come off as a bit much. Like the I'm assuming this is a fill-in. Them saying like, did anyone ever try to stop those who made me into what I am? Should I bear their burden as well? Should I bear their burden as well? Let's delete that part. And did anyone ever try to stop those who made me into what I am? No. I refuse to be told I can't do what I will after years of letting the world do with me whatever it pleased. Like that one, that flows pretty good. These are good quotes though. This one definitely does not belong on a 40-year-old divorced dad's Facebook. This one's good. It's longer than yours. Send another one.
All right.
Take pride in knowing you didn't try.
All right.
Take solace in the fact that you did not run.
Right here, I have a really long one that I'll do to make up for that. And then you can do a short one.
Mine will be like 3 words. I am him.
I have the drip. Yeah, I have this really long one here that I had in mind for like a Warforged villain that becomes like a demigod or whatever.
Okay.
I'll try to. I'm thinking I'll probably do like a kind of like monotone voice here. because I can't do like a robotic voice. Max can do like a kind of a robot, like Microsoft Sam voice input kind of voice. I can't do that.
That's okay.
Here we go. You exhaust your finite energy in a battle you cannot win. If there is one constant of humanity, it is inherent flaw. Flesh will tire, flesh will wrinkle, flesh will give and tear and bleed. You will conform to the will of time. You exist only in the hopes to spite the consequence of your own hubris. To challenge anything more permanent than yourself is to knowingly approach death, a factor my existence does not share with yours. Mortal beings must entertain subjective approximations of their own objective limits and pointless morals. You must waste time and energy on things as trivial and futile as love and companionship. You devote years, if not decades, to training, not understanding that it means nothing against a foe whose limits are built in, and yet far exceed your own. You mourn those that you lose in battle, despite being shown how inferior they are by falling to the blade, and still you are foolish enough to respect them. Despite all of this, or perhaps because of this, you fail to understand the one thing that matters, the one thing you can never hope to achieve while holding these morals and codes you boastfully flaunt in my face like a badge of impunity. The one thing you will never be able to achieve: permanence.
Yeah, I could see a Warforged villain saying some shit like that.
Yeah. I kind of took for like the monotone voice, I kind of took inspiration from the robot from Portal 2, GLaDOS.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never played Portal or Portal 2, but I do remember that voice because I've seen videos obviously. And yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of it's got it's got like that fake emotion. That
Yeah.
fake inflection that you would think a robot would have.
Mm-hmm. There is actually another paragraph that I can do. That's part of that, but I cut it out because I was always going kind of long, but I can do the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely do the rest.
All right.
Because yeah, that definitely yeah, that was good.
Though my parts may rust with time, they can always be repaired or replaced. Your body will scar and grow fragile as the sands fall between the hourglass again and again. Even if you hold my victory at bay for the moment, I can simply wait until every brave fool like you has died out, and just as easily achieve my goal. I, by default, will best what you are because of what I am. A machine, unfeeling, unyielding, unstoppable. I will exist, and so I will prevail. Your kind destroyed so much to build me, not realizing the irony of such a momentous mistake, that I was built to destroy. Do you know the difference between me and the gods? The gods are feared only by the foolish.
Yeah, okay, so that wraps that one up.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that whole thing, yeah. Having that whole thing, yeah, that's definitely yeah. Really good. Now when I had the Warforged villain, I went with the more lower kind of monotone. Now, granted, at the time it didn't get picked up, but it definitely, having not the kind of Gladys
Mhm.
kind of speech pattern, but having that fake inflections.
Mhm.
So the judge, he would talk down here, and he would sort of feign inflections.
Mhm.
He would look at you and he would say, "What are you doing here? All of my brothers and sisters died to get here. What is it? Nothing more." And it was one of those, I don't even know if it got picked up,
Yeah, I
but
heard it.
it's one of those that is kind of lower. And because I did think about doing the whole robotic, but I wanted the Ultron kind of, that old the James Spader kind of you know I guess you could say depth of voice.
Yeah.
Not so much his actual, because all he did was speak, but
Mhm.
not so much the inflection and the tone, but the sinister, like, hey, the shit's fucked up. I've been around people long enough to kind of pick up some shit, but shit's fucked up.
Mhm.
But let me read this one, because this one is not a villain quote. This one is kind of like, compassion costs nothing to give to those who are deserving. But if an evil man sees your charity, he will ransom your kindness with for all the gold he believes it is worth. Sadly, that is why good men are hesitant to show themselves in such times, and eventually appear only as creatures of vengeance to reclaim what they have lost. Like, that's not a villain quote. That's
Yeah.
kind of like, you know, I would see like a party leader saying that to the party.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I feel like I have way too many like villain quotes in here that kind of all end with the same point of like, oh well, I'm God now and you're going to die. So
Well,
I wanted
and
to I
I
wanted
mean,
to, lighten it
villains.
up with a different kind of tone.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, your villain in any kind of D&D campaign is going to aspire to sit atop the throne of power. I mean, their reasonings will be different, but, insert villain. Villain has ambitions greater than, and villain wants to be pinnacle of whatever, insert. Um, so yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, there's very few times I've actually seen where a villain isn't where the villain is on the same level as or below the hero, where it's just kind of like, you got to give this villain, something. I mean, Walking Dead, for instance, each villain was positioned to be stronger, quote unquote, than the heroes. What was it? The zombies. First, it was the zombies. Zombies are the villains.
Mhm.
Then the zombies kind of just became whatever, because they were dealt with fairly easily. Now you've got people. The governor. The governor was one of those that was manipulative in the TV show, and he manipulated his way to being the top and getting the people to go after the heroes. Then it was those what do they call them? Um, oh fuck, I forget it. The cannibals. The cannibals were, positioned to be stronger and more cunning
Mm.
than the heroes. However, they were not, and it ended up becoming kind of like a footnote. Um, Negan, same thing. Your heroes have to have villains that are stronger than the hero. That's how you get that sense of danger. So for your villains, I mean, if you've played D&D for, over 1 or 2 times, you know that the players can actually become very powerful very quickly. So you got to have a villain that matches that. So, yeah, your villain quotes being like, I'm basically God and you're not. It makes sense. Because I mean, fuck. Play D&D long enough, your characters practically become demigods.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here we can do a collaborative one where it's like a back and forth between two characters.
Oh, that'll be
Wrap it up.
interesting.
Do you want to have the shorter lines or the longer lines? Because the shorter lines are really, really short, and the longer lines are really, really long.
I'll have the shorter lines. Get you back for that first one you gave me on the first recording.
All right. So every separation is like a separate character talking. So it's a back and forth between two characters.
Oh, okay.
So it starts out with you.
Okay, so I'd go, but why? Why?
You know why.
How could I possibly know? All those people you killed, all those things you did.
Unfortunate pawns in my game, I'm afraid. Trust me. If there was another way, I would have taken different action.
There's always another way.
Wrong, my friend, dreadfully wrong. You speak of morals and honor as if they mean anything in the grand scheme of things. For this sort of power, no cost is too great. Take your own god, for example. Do you think he got his power by walking old ladies across the street and saving kittens from trees? By helping the poor and treating the sick? By playing nice? By talking things out? No, no, no. All of your gods are bastards and murderers, just the same.
Lie. My god's gifts allow me to heal and protect.
And yet, how many innocents have died in his name? How many wars started? How many countries invaded? How many bloodlines erased? Don't try and claim the moral high ground. You know as well as I do that you've not a leg to stand on when speaking of morals. You've read the passages. You've heard the history. You've even met its few survivors. If what I've done is evil, then your God and all others like him will meet an afterlife far more fiery than mine.
Wrong.
Am I? The evils done upon me that led me to this point, were they good deeds because they attempted to stop my power from growing? My family was murdered. My land was taken. I was subjected to tortures you couldn't even begin to imagine. Morality is always biased, always incorrect. It is a coin, and deciding who has been victimized or saved simply comes down to what side you're hoping it lands on. I saw through the veil and decided to stand the coin on its side, and now I see things clearly. There is no right. There is no wrong. There simply is. And now I will take what is and do whatever I wish with it.
What monster have you become?
Myself.
That's not bad.
And then everybody clapped.
Right? My meatus is clapping. Oh, geez. Yeah, that one's not bad. Because, yeah, it's like, two friends. It goes back to what I said, two friends, two party members, each took a different path.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at that.
One of them became a vengeful edgelord.
and the other one a goody two shoes.
Yep.
Because yeah, I mean, you know, you're wrong. You lied. My God's gifts allow me to heal and protect. You know, it's just like no. But yeah, what monster have you become? Ready to kill him? Like at that point, it's like, what's the point of even fighting or arguing?
Right.
Might as well just fight this out because only one person can be right.
What monster have you become, Mom Spaghetti?
My hands are sweaty. What monster have you become? I've become the rap god. Oh shit.
So I mean we've already been going for like 2 hours, so we'll probably skip the skills and ability stories this time. But before we go, I wanted to do two things that we'll see how how it's received, and then we can decide later on if we want to keep doing them in future episodes. But I am a little bit of an audiophile. I love music, and I thought it'd be cool to recommend music to the viewers. So every podcast, I'll recommend a song. It's not going to have any rhyme or reason. It's not going to be like any specific genre because my playlist is all over the place. So I'll just kind of just go down the list of some of my most recently added music or some of my favorite music, and I'll just recommend a song every podcast. So I guess I'll start off in this episode. I want to recommend Whipping Posts by the Allman Brothers Band, because I love like that older kind of era of music where it was like blues and blues rock and stuff like that. And that's one of my favorite songs. I sing it at karaoke all the time. And so yeah, if you like old man music, you'll definitely like that.
Yeah, I don't listen to too much music. I mean, I listen to the stuff I grew up with, of course. Some 70s shit. Some anything that really just gives me goosebumps and makes my nipples hard. You know, that's the litmus test for me for music. I can't explain it. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I mean, I'll give it a listen. You know, just kind of see what it is, and if it's shit, I'll let you know. I'll make sure. I'll be like, hey, that song that you suggested last week, yeah, it was shit. Made my dick go inside me. It was weird.
For sure.
For a moment there, I was a woman. And you sing that? No, I'm just kidding.
All right. And then before we sign off, I thought it'd be cool to kind of just do a rollies at the end of every podcast episode, and maybe that way we can decide who introduces the podcast next episode depending on who wins. So if you'll do me a favor real quick, Boz, just grab a D20.
Oh. Are we allowed to fudge these roll?
Fuck you. No. No fudging. Unless it's fudging your pants.
I've already done that. I'm letting it crust.
Well, then just roll. Here we go.
All right.
I have rolled a 6.
I have rolled a 10.
All right. That settles it. You get to introduce the podcast next episode.
Oh, fuck. Now I gotta come up with an introduction. Jesus. Does that mean you get to come in with a random ass cold open?
Yeah. You can do a cold open, make it whatever you want, introduce the podcast however you want.
What I'm saying is like you know, how I always kind of just come in with some random out of pocket shit to say.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you're gonna do before I go? Well, everybody, here's the train wreck.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Here's the gangbang that'll end up with one of us just standing in the corner crying because we came too fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that how it works? Is it like paintball at that point? Where you just stand outside and wait for the next round? Oh, that one was a good one. I should have fucking let in with that one instead of the
Yeah,
fucking Top Gun grabbing your dick like it's a fucking throttle.
that's all right. You know, eventually we can just recycle them after doing this for long enough.
Yeah, because like, who the fuck's gonna listen? They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, wow, that sounds so interesting." Turn it off.
But yeah, that
Oh
being said,
shit.
if anyone actually is listening to this podcast, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know some of your most creative or coolest NPCs that you guys made for your campaigns, or just unique NPCs that you saw in other people's campaigns.
Yeah,
And
that'd
any
be cool.
any questions or topics that you want to hear discussed in the podcast, also feel free to leave in the comments and let us know what you think.
And we
This has
won't steal
been,
them.
yes, we will.
No, I won't. I will not steal somebody else's shit. I mean, you can, but I am definitely not. You
No,
fucking
no,
thief.
I won't steal other people's stuff.
All right, wizards.
I got about 200 pages of my own stuff that I haven't gotten through in my own campaigns yet. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
I'm
I've only got a
overinflating the numbers,
handful.
obviously, but I have like one or two notebooks filled up with stuff.
Jesus Christ, that's still more than what I've got. Fuck. I think I got maybe like a handful. I've only
That's
been at this for a few years, so
that's hyperfixations and autism doing its thing, man.
Jesus. It, that's not a bad that's not a bad thing though, because I mean at least every session, oh, who's this storekeeper? That storekeeper's probably got 20 minutes of fucking lore behind it,
Yep.
if not more. Instead of like Papyrus Papyrus. He is a merchant of books. That's why his name is Papyrus Papyrus Maximus.
Well,
But
anyway,
all right.
yeah, that will do it for this episode. It's episode 3 of the B.A.T.R podcast. I'm Slacker,
I'm Boz.
and we'll see y'all next time.